In 3, 2.
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I'm Jonathan, along with my partners Jack and Sam.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hit leader in Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies are the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a Game 6 homestand against Cleveland, starting Monday at the Big A. The host calls it and what? Great Richard urged to the mat for the opener, while the visiting partner with the leading CY Young winner Obi. The Angels are back adding the I cannot see. Surprising Astros for first place in the AL West, and struggling Indians are central in the AL place in the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 2008 NBA title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal worth $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kelly Anderson, and now of the Spurs was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, Jack Brooks and Sammy Bovitz, I'm Jonathan Reef. Good night.
All right, good work, guys. Quiet on the set in 3.
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I am Will Seidel, along with my partners Chase Landis and Braden Goldsmith.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader in Philadelphia. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, but the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against Cleveland starting Monday night at the Big A. The hosts Halos sent Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe countered with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place in the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 08 NBA title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal with $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 50% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now of the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA's Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds in a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, Chase Landis and Braden Goldsmith, I'm Will Sadell. Good night.
3,
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I am Tommy Jacobs, along with my partner, Zachary Zajac.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader in Philly history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against Cleveland starting Monday night at the Big A. The host Halos send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place in the AL Central. On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 08 NBA title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal with $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs. And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now of the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partner Zachary Zajac, I'm Tommy Jacobs.
in 3, 2,
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I'm Aaron Goldstein, along with my partners Kyle Grassel and Dave Rolinski.
The LA Dodgers embarked on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins to Philadelphia, where he spent his first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader in Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against the Cleveland Indians starting Monday night at the Big A. The host Halos send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young Award winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place for the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 2008 NBA title and was named the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news, the LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal with $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now with the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
Well, that'll wrap it up for the Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, Kyle Grassel and David Orlinsky, I'm Aaron Goldstein. Good night.
Go. 3.
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I'm Max Cepeda, along with my partners, Tristan Montera and Madden Oko.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader in Philly's history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against the Cleveland Indians starting Monday night at the Big A. The host Halos send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place in the AL Central. On the basketball, the Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he will reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 2008 NBA title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal worth $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now with the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds in a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th. That will wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners Madden Oko and Tristan Montera, I'm Max Cepeda. Good night.
2.
From Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I'm Abraham Friedman, along with my partner, Aaron Sibley.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career, became the all-time hit leader in Philly. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the Los Angeles LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against the Cleveland starting Monday night at the Big A. The host Halos will send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place in the AL Central.
On to basketball, the Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last year with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. At 37 years, helped lead Boston to the 08 title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was the coach of the Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal with $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
Former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now of the Spurs, was named
MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points, 6 rebounds, and a game included 25 against the Nets on July 16th. That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. My partners, Abraham Friedman. I'm Aaron Simonu. Good night.
Just spell it out.
That's fine.
3.
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I'm Alex Swift, along with my partners Eli Pearl and Jesse Abrams.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marked the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became an all-time hits leader in Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies have the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against Cleveland starting Monday right at the Big A. The host Halos send a Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place in the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with Coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 08 NBA title and was an NBA Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal worth $1.2 million after making an NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now of the Spurs, who named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, Eli Pearl and Jesse Abrams, I'm Alex Swift. Good night.
All right, good work, guys. 3.
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is the Broadcasting Center. I am George Bola, along with my partners Ben Averbrook and Darius Patty.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through the Pennsylvania, starting with the 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of the shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent his first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader in Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Dodgers kick off a 6-game homestand against the Cleveland starting on Monday at the Big A. The host Halos sent Garrett Richards to the mound, as the opener will be visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are batting the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place in the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll return to reunite with Coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 08 NBA title and was the Finals MVP, when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal worth $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won the team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, the former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now with the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, Ben Aberbrook and Darius Fabi-Bassi, I'm Joey Chibollo. Good night.
3, 2.
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I am Edward Hawley, along with my partners John Souza and Lucas Hunter.
The Los Angeles Dodgers are embarking on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with the 3-game series in Philly tonight at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of Jimmy Rollins to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader in Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against Cleveland starting Monday night at the Big A. The host Halos and send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending CY Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place for the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with his coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Warriors, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 2008 NBA Finals and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news. The Los Angeles Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal worth $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now with the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, John, Lucas, I'm Edward Hawley. Good night.
3.
From Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is the Sports Broadcasting Center. I am Evan, along with my partners Russell and Adam.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leaders in Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against Cleveland starting Monday night at the Big A. The host Halos send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place for the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent his last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped Boston to the 2008 NBA title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Boston Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal with $1.2 million after his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, Russell and Adam, I'm Evan. Good night.
Sure. 3.
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I am Solomon Koliako, along with my partners, Ben Walker and Charlie Hobart.
The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader in Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against Cleveland starting Monday at the Big A. The host Halos send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently last in place in the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, while he'll reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent the last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 2008 NBA title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal worth $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team-best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now with the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, Ben Walker and Charlie Hobart, and Solomon Koliako. Good night.
You should see how many stats we had to get.
Okay.
If we stop down and do it again because it's too much chaos. Did you guys roll through it?
You've been searching stats for
3, 2.
From the Sports Broadcasting Camp, this is Sports Broadcasting Center. I am Ford Dreifert, along with my partners, Malcolm Hobart and Sam Walker.
The Los Angeles Dodgers embark on a 6-game road trip through Pennsylvania, starting with a 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of shortstop Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader in Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off the Giants for the top spot in the NL West, while the Phillies own the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against Cleveland starting tomorrow night at the Big A. The host Halos send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling the surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place in the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of veteran forward Paul Pierce, where he'll reunite with coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 2008 NBA title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
All right, got some hockey news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal worth $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA standout Kyle Anderson, now of the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League, coached by the first woman
coach of the Summer League ever. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 6th.
That'll wrap it up for some Sports Broadcasting Center. For my partners, Malcolm Hobart and Sam Walker, I'm Ford Dreifer. Good night.
Good work, fellas.
From the Sport Broadcasting Camp, this is the Sport Broadcasting Center. I am John Peter Griffin, along with my partners, Gian Lee and Tristan Silvers.
Okay. The LA Dodgers embark on a 6-game trip throughout Pennsylvania, starting with the 3-game series in Philly on Tuesday night at Citizens Bank Park. It marks the return of sports star Jimmy Rollins back to Philadelphia, where he spent the first 15 years of his career and became the all-time hits leader of Phillies history. The Dodgers are trying to fight off against the Giants for the spot in the NL West, while the Phillies on the worst record in baseball.
Meanwhile, the LA Angels kick off a 6-game homestand against Cleveland starting Monday night at the Big A. The host Halos send Garrett Richards to the mound for the opener, while the visiting Tribe counter with defending Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The Angels are battling and surprising Astros for first place in the AL West. The struggling Indians are currently in last place in the AL Central.
On to basketball. The Clippers announced the signing of the veteran forward Paul Pierce. Here will he'll reunite with his coach Doc Rivers. The 10-time All-Star spent last season with the Wizards, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all career lows. The 37-year-old helped lead Boston to the 2008 NBA title and was the Finals MVP when Rivers was coaching the Celtics.
Rocky news. The LA Kings re-signed 5 restricted free agents, including center Nick Shore. Shore gets a 2-year deal worth $1.2 million after making his NHL debut last season. In 34 games, Shore scored 7 points and won a team best 54% of his faceoffs.
And finally, former UCLA stand-up Kyle Anderson, now of the Spurs, was named MVP of the NBA Summer League. Anderson averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds a game, including 25 against the Nets back on July 16th.
That'll wrap it up for us for Sport Broadcasting Center. For my partners, G.I. Lee and Tristan Silvers, I am John Peter Griffin. Good night.